Hello and welcome to this webinar on pharmaceutical operations, what the regulator expects to see during a GMP inspection. This is the third in a part of a series of free webinars this year from NSF. They're a valuable source of information, so please sign up if you're interested in any of these upcoming topics, as places are limited. So let me introduce myself. My name is Catherine Kay, and I've been working for NSF Health Sciences for nearly 1.5 years now, focusing on training and education. Just a brief background about myself. I'm a chemist, eligible to be a QP, and I've been working in the pharmaceutical industry since the mid-90s. I've experience in all aspects of oral solid dose manufacturing and packaging, and have held roles primarily in operations, but also in supply chain, technical affairs and quality assurance, as well as working as a site QP, and so therefore have been exposed to a number of regulatory inspections in my time. I'm very interested in continuous improvement, operational excellence, and the design and implementation of effective quality management systems, as well as being passionate about developing people. I myself love to constantly learn new things. So, over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to focus on 6 key areas that the inspector will look at within your operation. Firstly, business management versus quality management, and how the two are really closely linked. The regulator wants you to be driving your business forward with a quality mindset, and we'll be looking to see how you do that. Secondly, workplace organisation. What is that first impression you give to the inspector when he or she walks inside your operation? Thirdly, documentation practices and that link to data integrity. Number 4, change control management and the link to continuous improvement. Number 5, senior management responsibilities and the role of the QP. And then finally, but by no means least, so number 6, is people, the importance of our people, how you recruit them, define roles, train and educate them, develop them and assess performance. So let's take a look at business management. So fact, great businesses manage risk and change extremely well and are absolutely passionate about their people. So to maintain our business, we need to balance profits, compliance, our license to operate, and customer service, so that is our patients, payers, users. When there is too much of a focus on compliance, complexity tends to increase, which impacts the cost of the business and therefore the cost and impacts your customer service. Likewise, if we're focusing too much on the profits, this has an impact on our level of compliance and our customer service. So to be successful, we have to find this overall balance. And typically, this is in an environment where time and resource is forever shrinking. So the boundary here represents our resources, which are constrained. So it's paramount that leaders find agreement on cultural and strategic direction that aligns the business and consistently anchors the vision, values, aims, and goals of the business. Once this is established and understood, aligned performance metrics must be deeply embedded at all levels to ensure consistency of purpose is sustained. So the quality management system is a key part to this. It's the backbone, it's holding it all together through defined processes. So having that shared purpose brings everyone together so that the organisation as a whole is working collectively towards the same vision. So this provides the roadmap for the strategic direction and serves as a true north for everyone to work in an aligned and purposeful way. So companies need to be clear on their direction. What are their business objectives? What values do they expect their employees to uphold? And are they all aligned in the shared purpose? And is it clearly communicated? As a regulator visiting a site, this should be clear to me. Is this message clearly displayed? Is the mindset of quality clear for everyone to see, visually displayed on notice boards and built into job descriptions, so, clearly communicated? If you as a business can't clearly display this, then how can you expect your employees to understand it and that of the inspector visiting the site? Secondly, workplace organisation. First impressions count, right? If you were to walk into a restaurant with dirty floors and tables, paint peeling from the walls, the room dimly lit, and a mouldy odour and flies buzzing around with a waiter wearing a dirty apron, it really wouldn't encourage you to go in and eat there, would it? So with pharmaceutical operations, we must consider and review the state of our operation on an ongoing basis. Chapter 3 in the EU GMP states that premises and equipment must be located, designed, constructed, adapted and maintained to suit the operations to be carried out. Their layout and design must aim to minimise the risk of errors and permit effective cleaning and maintenance in order to avoid cross-contamination, build-up of dust or dirt, and, in general, any adverse effect on the quality of products. So we need to ensure that our facility layout and design has taken into consideration the flow of people, materials and equipment so as to minimise any of the cross-contamination. We should have effective cleaning and maintenance regimes that are validated, documented and followed. Whether you have contracted cleaners that are cleaning walls and ceilings or operators cleaning manufacturing equipment, each must understand what is expected from them, be given appropriate resources to carry out their roles, understand the consequences of not completing their roles properly, and most importantly, feel valued and have pride in the work that they're undertaking. So workplace organisation and 5S are excellent tools that can be used to sort, shine, set in order, standardise and sustain. So the area that you're working in, and then display this visually, and then audit adherence to this at the start of every shift so that it just becomes part of the routine, the culture of this is how we do things around here. And ultimately the aim is to provide a safer working environment, improve layout and ergonomics, making it easy to see improvements and leading to efficient and effective workflows, thereby reducing errors and that, making sure we control cross-contamination. So regulatory inspectors will be looking at the cleanliness of the production area. This will include general housekeeping, as well as ensuring that any dust is minimised and cleaning regimes are kept up to date and documented. And if this is all done visually through 5S, then all the better. Number 3, documentation practices. So a question I ask time and time again is, why can't we seem to produce simple procedures and records that are easy to fill in? Documents that are not overcomplicated due to the just-in-case mindset. Let's just put it all in there. Batch records, cleaning records, logbooks that have the appropriate level of signatures so as not to dilute personal accountability or reliance on others within the documentation chain. As we know, data integrity requires us to follow the principles of ALCOA: attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, and accurate. During an inspection, the inspector will look to see evidence of all of these when filling in documents in the operations. Unfortunately, this still continues to be a real issue for many companies, even though they've carried out data integrity training and display ALCOA posters around their facility. Completing records real-time, contemporaneously is an absolute must. And if this is not possible due to the complexities of your documents and processes, then this needs to be changed immediately. Data integrity is not just about willful falsification, but unintentional errors as well, and the inspector will look into how these have been handled to determine whether there is a data integrity issue. It only takes the inspector to find 2 or 3 isolated errors in different areas of the facility in the way that information has been recorded for them to think that they cannot trust anything on the site and to come to the conclusion that the site culture is one of fraudulent behaviour. It puts into question everything you do, so don't let this happen to your organisation. Good, consistent documentation practices are key. So number 4, change control and continual improvement. The pharmaceutical industry is very risk adverse and not very agile at all, but we need to be able to adapt to market needs and customer pressures, and we need to do this quicker than ever before, whilst of course staying in compliance with regulatory commitments. So as a business, we need to control change, and a good change management system encourages, not suffocates, innovation and improvement. Changes, therefore, should be improvements, and we have to accept that there is no such thing as a risk-free change. It is vitally important that your change management system carries out a robust impact assessment to enable that risk versus benefit analysis. Your process should be a simple one, not complicated like the one on the screen, with the key steps standardised so that people follow the process rather than to stop improving, or worse still, find a workaround because the process is just too difficult. Change management is really an area of interest to the regulatory inspector, and one that he or she will analyse to see if it's in control. Implementation of changes can be difficult too, and therefore you must ensure that you have good effectiveness checks in place to confirm that the change delivers the expected benefits. The inspector will want to see evidence of this too. And following the process of continuous improvement, you should be following the plan, do, check and act cycle of reviewing and improving your change management system on a regular basis. Number 5, senior management responsibilities and the role of the QP. So who do we define as senior management? Certainly the site lead, heads of department, and the QP is very much part of the senior management team. Senior management have responsibilities as defined in Chapter 1 of the EU GMP Guide. They have overall responsibility for the pharmaceutical quality system's effectiveness. They must be active participants in the PQS. They should be carrying out periodic management review. There should be clearly defined management responsibilities and procedures established for the management review of product and system performances, so your product quality review. Senior management need to be involved and visibly present in the operation on a daily basis. They should be out there doing those Gemba walks. They need to be engaged in the decision making and to effectively resource the PQS. In order to effectively build a culture that promotes quality and continual improvement, management have to ensure that they place the right pressures on the organisation. They need to be aware of what is taking place on the shop floor. For example, they should be involved in the daily tiered meetings, which should allow important issues to be escalated to the right level for the appropriate decision making. The QP has the responsibility to communicate to senior management the performance of the pharmaceutical quality system, so they too must be visible. They need to be centre stage in the factory, carrying out self-inspections, available for deviation clinics, leading quality assurance drop-in sessions, where people are asking for advice. And absolutely, their role is there to lead continual improvement. It's also important that senior management are visible in operations not just when things go wrong, but when things are running smoothly too. So they're there to celebrate successes. During an inspection, this is demonstrated through sharing the output and action taken through your management review meeting. So this is recorded in the minutes and action logs. And then by visibly displaying your quality metrics and documenting what actions have been taken to improve your processes, by sharing your escalation and decision-making procedures. So whilst conducting the tour of the facility, the inspectors may well ask staff who the senior management team are and whether they're visible to them. Number 6, people. Our products are only as good as our people, and so we need to make our people first, train and educate them before we make our products. People determine the culture and effectiveness of the organisation, and the quality of the product depends ultimately upon the quality of the people producing it. It's the people who design, operate and manage the systems and processes, so the quality of the people is paramount. The quality management system must address the formal systems and processes needed to employ and manage people. It therefore rests with senior management to ensure that systems are in place to recruit the right people for the job, define their roles and responsibilities, train and educate them, support them, motivate them, and assess their performance. An effective PQS should have the following people-related documents available so that the inspector will want to review them. So organisation chart, job descriptions for each role within the organisation, appropriate selection criteria for any job within the organisation, training requirements, and also ongoing and continual training, training records for each person, certainly with a competency assessment, and performance appraisal records for each individual. So let's look at each of these in turn. The organisation chart. This will depict the various jobs within the organisation and the reporting structures within it. The job descriptions must document the role, responsibility and accountabilities, and the routine tasks should be described to allow the individual to fully appreciate what their job entails and what they're responsible for. Recruiting the right people with the necessary knowledge, skills and qualification and experience is key. However, it's often people's behaviour, character and personality that differentiates a great potential employee from a good one. And so consideration should be given to assessing these attributes which are aligned to your company values as we previously described. EU GMP states that staff employed are trained to perform the tasks they conduct. Training requirements are to be defined for each role. And training is about ensuring that people understand what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and why they're doing it, putting it into context. It's about educating them and not just training them to perform activities. You'll then need to prove that they've done the training and that checks or a competency assessment has been carried out to demonstrate that the training was effective. Training and education must show benefit, and there's potentially huge cost and risk if no training takes place. Operators, human error is often considered to be the cause of quality problems. However, the error is most likely to have occurred as a consequence of poorly designed systems. So good investigation needs to be carried out to determine the root cause and those contributing factors. It might be due to documentation complexity, the working environment, undue pressure being applied from management. And then the most appropriate CAPAs need to be put into place rather than the default retraining that we often see. And this is certainly an area that inspectors will be looking at. And then having recruited people with the right attributes and having trained them to do their job, it's an expectation of a pharmaceutical quality system that there's a system that monitors and evaluates the performance of all staff, so the performance appraisal system. So this system is employed at most companies and is an annual appraisal meeting between employee and manager to discuss performance against preset annual objectives. But these need to be linked to the company quality and strategic objectives as well as those company values. So it's also an opportunity to discuss those future development needs and desires as well, so that there can be succession planning for the future of the business. So people really are the most important asset in your company. Choose them well, train and educate them well, support them well and communicate well. So to summarise, I've touched on the following 6 key areas that the regulator will review in your pharmaceutical operation during an inspection. looking at whether business management is closely aligned with quality management and really driving your business forward with a quality mindset. Looking at your workplace organisation, what is that first impression you will give to the regulator when he or she walks inside your operation? And how are you minimising that cross-contamination? What controls are you putting in place? Standardised and consistent documentation practices that are linked to data integrity. Change control management and the link to continuous improvement. Senior management responsibilities and the role of the QP. And lastly, but by no means least, people. Driving quality through your people. So that's the end of my webinar, and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, then please do email them through to us at farmermail.nsf.org. I'd also like to draw your attention to the link to our e-learning portal, where we have a variety of topics for review, with a session on ATMPs and data integrity to be published in the coming weeks. We also have free resources available in our resource library, which includes these webinars, white papers and case studies. So thanks again for joining and wishing you a great rest of the day. Thank you and bye-bye.